At 0223 hours, the war was already moving. 3 Ukrainian FP-One drones crossed into Russian-monitored waters at 180 kilometers per hour, riding low and fast. They were heading straight for a ship that had been quietly strangling Ukraine's naval drone operations for weeks. 15 miles off Novorossiysk, the Russian intelligence vessel held station, engines steady, course unchanged. Its R381T antenna arrays were listening constantly, logging every transmission, every launch pattern, every anomaly that didn't belong. 6 weeks of signals intelligence were already on board, days away from predicting future strikes with confidence. The patrol zone had been quiet so far. That quiet was about to end. The FP-Ones skimmed just 3 meters above the waves, low enough that spray brushed their undersides as they cut forward. Their plywood construction mattered, not because it was cheap, but because radar systems designed to track aluminum aircraft struggled to register something that looked more like driftwood than metal. Their radar cross-section was smaller than a seabird. To most systems, they were background noise. They were effectively ghosts. 20 minutes after launch, a Russian 4-post reconnaissance drone appeared on the horizon. It flew its usual racetrack pattern 30 kilometers off the Ukrainian coast, methodical and unhurried. The 4-post's Canadian-made MX-15DI camera could identify a basketball at 5 kilometers. Its thermal sensor could detect a 2-degree temperature difference. At 0245, engine heat from the lead FP-One spiked on the 4-post's display. 3 small contacts, low altitude, 180 kilometers per hour, heading east, straight toward monitored waters. The operators zoomed in, narrowing the field of view. Classification began, and immediately ran into problems. The FP-Ones dropped lower, 2 meters above the water. They disappeared into what radar operators call ground clutter. Chaotic reflections from waves overwhelmed the returns. But the real trick came seconds later. Wood cools quickly. Within minutes, the plywood frames matched the temperature of the surrounding sea almost perfectly. To thermal sensors, they stopped existing. The 4-post operator logged the contacts as possible birds and continued his patrol. He never knew he had just cleared the way for an attack. Behind the drones, the reason for the rushed launch became obvious. Russian Shahed strikes hit the Ukrainian launch site minutes after the FP-Ones departed. 50-kilogram warheads turned equipment into twisted scrap. Operators barely escaped as debris fell around them. The drones were now completely on their own, and the spy ship was still listening. At 0330, a second operation began. 20 Ukrainian naval drones launched toward Sevastopol at 80 kilometers per hour. What followed was not an attack, it was carefully staged misdirection. The decoy swarm consisted of modified jet skis and commercial boats. Each cost less than $10,000. Disposable platforms designed to mimic real attack drones on radar. They flew in formation, broadcast the right radio signatures, moved at the correct speeds and headings. To Russian radar operators, it looked like the largest naval drone assault since October 2022. The deception was precise. The drones spread into attack patterns, converged on likely targets, executed believable evasive maneuvers. Operators controlled them via satellite for the first 50 kilometers, then switched them to autopilot. Each drone transmitted on frequencies Russian intelligence was known to monitor closely. Some carried heat sources to simulate armed payloads. This was not improvisation. It was choreography, practiced and rehearsed. Russian doctrine demanded response. At Novorossiysk, 6 Ka-27's helicopters launched west. 4 more lifted from Sevastopol minutes later. Helicopters were the Black Sea Fleet's primary defense against naval drones. They could search wide areas, hover over contacts, deploy depth charges with precision. Without them, the coastline was exposed. Every minute those helicopters flew west was another minute the real drones flew east unchallenged. By the time Russian commanders realized the deception, the helicopters were hundreds of kilometers out of position. The intelligence ship now had no air cover, no rapid response, and no margin for error. The 3 FP-Ones adjusted course 15 degrees north. This was deliberate. 2 Podlet K-1 radars covered the sector. Each rotated at 10 revolutions per minute. Together, they created a blind corridor for 4 seconds every minute. A narrow gap, just 2 kilometers wide, but the Russians had adapted. Rotation patterns were now randomized. The corridor was shrinking with every cycle. At 0447, the first FP-One entered. 4 seconds invisible, 2 seconds visible, invisible again. A brief blip appeared, small, fast, dismissed. The second drone followed, clean, centered, invisible. The third drone was not so lucky. A microscopic flaw in its gyroscope caused drift, 200 meters off course and increasing, correcting burned fuel faster than planned. At 0449, both radars painted it clearly, bearing 270, speed 180, altitude 50 meters. The operator compared reports. 20 confirmed contacts near Sevastopol. 1 questionable blip here. The decision was automatic. The drone was logged as probable bird and passed through. But the correction had cost it 12 minutes of fuel. It would reach the target area with less than 60 seconds remaining. By 500 hours, the decoy swarm completed its role. The drones scattered. Some beached themselves on empty coastline. Some ran out of fuel. Some simply stopped moving. None attacked anything. Russian helicopters hunted them anyway, burning fuel, expending ammunition, chasing targets that no longer mattered. When they finally turned back, they were 180 kilometers from Novorossiysk, and too late. At 0600, the lead FP-One experienced something worse than radar. Reality shifted. GPS coordinates slid east. The drone was not turning. Russian R-330ZHTO spoofing systems had activated. Fake satellite signals overpowered real ones, walking the drone toward a Panzer battery. But the Ukrainians had learned. Oil platforms dotted the Black Sea every 50 kilometers. The drone visually reconfirmed its position, corrected course, kept going. The second drone was not so fortunate. A cheap capacitor failed under temperature cycling. GPS died instantly. Inertial navigation drifted. Error accumulated minute by minute, 8 kilometers off course. At 0645, it hit the water. No explosion, just gone. 2 drones remained. At 0723, the spy ship went active. Its mineral ME radar scanned west. Signals intelligence teams searched for harmonics. Electronic fingerprints buried in noise. They found one, bearing 285, speed 180, 15 kilometers out. The radar struggled. Wood-confused algorithms built for metal. Lock flickered. The contact was logged as intermittent. Possibly birds. The lead FP-One shut down everything except mechanical gyroscopes. Flying blind, but the ship's own electronic warfare systems interfered with each other. Electromagnetic fratricide. Their jammers degraded their own sensors. At 0725, a patrol boat was vectored to investigate. 35 knots, machine gun manned, fresh ammunition loaded. Engagement drills rehearsed countless times, but they were trained for aluminum drones. Infrared targets, not plywood shadows skimming the surface. At 0730, the lead FP-One entered the patrol zone. Morning fog reduced visibility to 500 meters. Radar beams bent upward due to a severe temperature inversion. Anything below 30 meters was invisible. The drone flew at 3. The patrol boat spotted it visually, opened fire. Rounds punched through wood. One clipped the propeller. The engine vibrated violently but held. The drone escaped. 90 seconds of fuel left. At 0734, the lead drone's engine seized. It began its final glide. Every Russian sensor tracked it. Every eye followed it into the water and missed what came next. The third FP-One emerged from the fog, 10 meters above the surface, approaching from the port bow. The ship's navigation radar could not depress low enough. The patrol boats were out of position. The bridge crew scanned the wrong sector. A lookout spotted it at 300 meters. Too late. The drone's camera centered on the mast base, where every antenna met, where 6 weeks of intelligence lived. The 25-kilogram warhead struck. The explosion gutted the bridge. R381T arrays melted. Computers slagged. The ship would sail again, but it would never hear another launch, another pattern, another war. Within hours, Ukrainian drones launched from new sites with new behaviors, invisible once again. The third FP-One circled once, its camera recording the destruction for posterity. Then it rolled into its final dive and disappeared into fire. Tap to watch for more.